All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Chapter 10 review video. We're going to be going through Chapter 10 again, doing a problem from each section and kind of re-highlighting some of the key points. As with every review in class, this is not totally all-encompassing. That means what we're going to be doing here isn't going to be everything you could see on the test. So this is just a primer to get you started. This is just sort of I don't know how to study for this at first, and maybe if you watch this, it'll be a good little intro into finding problems to do and maybe say, oh, I don't really know this thing as much as I thought I did. This test is going to be a lot easier than our other tests because we have not been together for most of this unit. So what's going to be is very similar to the problems you've done in the worksheet and on the quiz and also on the notes. It's going to be very similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the problems from those things and do them here. I'm going to do 1 through 7. I'm going to do 7 different problems, a couple other pieces of info. For on level, you're going to have somewhere between 8 to 10 questions. 8 to 10 questions. And then honors, you're going to have somewhere between 10 and 12 questions. They should be pretty standard. It'll just sort of change the distribution and points. But those will all be sort of similar. So you should have a basic idea of what to expect. I'm going to do maybe not an equal weight of all of them, probably more on the second half of like the stuff we didn't do on the quiz, but there'll still be stuff from the early parts. But let's get into this for the video. So first thing we're going to do is 10-1. 10-1. How would I encourage you to do this video is to watch it, to try to solve the problem on your own, and then resume the video and watch as we solve them together. So here's our first problem. We have circle J, that's this one, has a radius of 10 units. Circle K has a radius of 8 units. BC, that's here to here, is 5.4 units. Find A to B. Once again, I encourage you to pause this video and try it on your own. And so see if you can do it yourself. Hopefully the sound just got a little better. Sorry about that. All right, so we have a circle here and a circle here. We know A to C. Let me do this on another piece of paper. Actually, I can do it right here. So AC is going to be 20 units. Now, how did I know this? I knew this because it told me circle J has a radius of 10 units. So that means A to J is 10. I can double that to 20. So I know A to C is 20. That's too much. So I know A to B is smaller than 20. That helps me narrow it down for my answers. But how much smaller? Well, I have, let's see if I can show you this. I have this piece being 20. And I want to find just that piece. So what I'm going to do is subtract that piece. And that piece is given to me. I don't have that in the diagram, but I have it over here in the instructions. It's 5.4. So that should tell me that AB is 20 minus 5.4. So AB is 14.6 units. Once again, 10-1, dealt a lot with radius, chords, diameters. It was a lot of notes about how things are the, vocabulary. There's a lot of learning about how to use that for vocabulary. So 14.6 units, that's 10-1. Be sure to go back over your notes, watch the old videos. Those should be a lot of help still. All right, 10-2. 10-2. Find ZY round to 2 decimal places. ZY round to 2 decimal places. Okay, so what we're doing here is we are finding what is that measure right there. We have 10 centimeters. If you see, it's kind of sitting right in between the two lines. That means this is our diameter. If it's a radius, it'll be very close to one side. If it's like this, it's going to be like that. So it's a diameter. This is a minor arc, if you remember what that is. We're looking for z to y, said the instructions. So what we need to do is figure out how much of this circle we're using, how much is our total circle, then find the ratio. So my total circumference is 2 pi r. That's my total amount around the circle. My radius is 5. That's half of our diameter. So 2 times pi times 5. So that's 10 pi centimeters. That's my total around the circle. We will probably need our calculator. It says 2 decimal places, so make sure you have your calculator handy. That is our total circumference. That is all the way around the circle, but I don't want all the way. I want this right here. And I know just by kind of looking at it that it's going to be less than 5 pi. I know it's less than 5 pi because, well, 5 pi is half the circle, and we're using less than half the circle. But we'll still find out how much. I have 130 degrees. I need to figure out what percentage, here, let's color that in so we can see it maybe a little better. I want to figure out what percentage of the circle this is. What percentage of the circle this is? Well, I have 130 degrees. I know my total is 360 degrees. I will probably need a calculator to do this. I do 130 divided by 360, and I get 0.36111111 forever. So let's kind of cut that off to 36%. I think 36% is a good amount. 36%. So all I need to do now is find 36% of 10 pi. All I need to do is take this and this, and do 0.36 times 10 pi. 0.36 times 10 times pi. And I get 11.3, let's round that to 1 centimeters. And hopefully that works out. If I took this and I wanted to find what that was, 10 pi would be 31.4 centimeters if you, because you're just moving pi over 1 decimal place. So the whole circle is 31.4. And I'm asking, what's this part right here? Well, that's 11.31. That's more than a third of this whole circle, this arc right here. Once again, we're finding zy, rounded 2 decimal places, what this one looks like. All right, that is 10-2. Hopefully that one helps you. These problems are going to be just like the problems you have on your notes. So go back and watch the old videos if you have some time. Maybe put them on double speed or find ones that you struggle with more than others. 10-3. So in circle W, RS, arc RS equals arc TV. Arc RS, I'll mark this with a different color. Those match. So if I, once again, wanted to use my little crayon, these guys are the same length. They're the same length. Find RS. Now what this is saying to find is not the arc, we know that's there. This is the segment RS. This is here to here. We're finding that. If I know these arcs match, then I know these lines match as well. Because these things are going to kind of join together, they're going to be kind of like harmonious. So 5x minus 9 should be the same length as 2x plus 3. So 5x minus 2x minus 2x That would be 3x minus 9 equals 3. Well, let's add 9, add 9. 3x equals 12. And we solve 3 x equals 4. Now 4 is not what we're looking for. We're not looking for x. We need to find our s. So in order to do that, I take my 4 and I throw it back in. So 5 times 4 minus 9 is 20. Equals 11. So once again, we knew that since these arcs match, these segments match, I solve it just like I would any sort of algebraic expression to get to x. But x isn't my final answer. I'm going to use x because I want rs. I'll plug it back in, and I get 11. All right, that's 10-3. On to 10-4. You can see this video is going a lot quicker just because I drew them ahead of time, so I don't have to do that while we're sitting here. 10-4, we're finding angle S and we're finding angle R. We're finding angle S and finding angle R. This is S and this is R. If you remember with this, the way to think about it are two spotlights. So let me try to show you something. I have my red and my blue crayons right here. If I highlight R to S, or R as this angle, you can see it's shining a spotlight right to S and T. Go from R, take my fingers, and I expand them, I go to S and then to T. If I do it for Q, I notice it does the exact same thing. So since they're pointing at the same 2 points, that's going to tell me R and Q match. R and Q match. Well, I know Q is 32 degrees, so R must be 32 degrees as well. So I know those are going to match because if I take my fingers and I ride along the edge to wherever they end at the same points. And if they end at the same points, they are the same measurement. We're going to do the same thing for S and T, but I'm going to show you with a little bit of color. So S goes from here, and it fills in this whole area with its little spotlight from S. So it fills in this whole area. There you go. Now if I look at T, well, T fills in the same area. Well, it doesn't fill in the same area. It fills in to the same points. So hopefully you can see there's an overlap happening because it's going from T over to here, from S over to here. So what that tells me is S and T are the same. So we can set 5x plus 4 equal to 6x minus 2. Because we know they're the same, so to find S, I have to find x and throw it back in. So minus 5x minus 5x. X is going to be 6 in our case. So if x is 6, we come here, 34 degrees. So we found both of these using the same idea, that if you're starting from one and you go and follow it to the ends, and if they're the same endpoints, they're going to be the same measurement. All right, that's 10-4. On to 10-5. Some people got tripped up on this on the homework, so I'm going to take a second to make sure we get this one. It's pretty important. So find x and the perimeter afterwards. So here's x is what we're looking for, and we're looking for the whole perimeter. What we have here are a bunch of tangents starting from one and going to the outside of the shape. Now remember, if we have that, if we're starting from the same point and hitting the circle as tangents, we know that these are going to match. So if this is 5, that must mean this has to be 5 centimeters. From here to here. We know the whole thing is 13. So if I know the whole thing is 13 centimeters, I've already spent 5. That means this has to be, When I do this, sometimes I feel like Blue's Clues, where I'm like, what number is this? And I wait, and I wait, and you're like yelling at your computer. I go, yeah, it is 8 centimeters. So thank you for making me feel like Steve on Blue's Clues. So if this is 8 and this is x, we know they're starting from the same common point and going to the object. So we know this has to be 8 centimeters because these will match. Just like these will match and these will match. And then finally, those will match as well. So to find the perimeter, so find x equals 8 centimeters. That's our part 1. Our second part is find the perimeter. All I have to do is complete this shape. I have a lot of sides already, but I'm missing a couple. So I need to add what those are. Well, I know this and this will match, so that's 6 centimeters. And I know this and this will match. That's 7 centimeters. Okay, so let's add everything up. 5 and 5 is 10 centimeters. 6 and 6 is 12 centimeters. 7 and 7 are 14 centimeters. 8 and 8 finally are 16 centimeters. We're going to add all of those up. 10 plus 12 plus 14 plus 16. I get to 52 centimeters. And that is our total perimeter. Because we know these guys match, these guys match. So that's our key to solving this problem, knowing that they match. That is one of the problems from 10.5. Once again, these aren't comprehensive. These aren't the only things you'll see from each chapter. 10.6, we are almost there. Find LP, assume ML, didn't mark M. Assume ML is a tangent. So once again, I would encourage you to pause the video, give it a shot, see if you can get it, and then come back. So we have a couple things we're given. We're given this angle, this arc, and we're looking for this. This is our mystery arc. That is our mystery arc. Now, there are a couple formulas you need to remember, a couple things you need to think about. And to find this, it's not the average of the two. It's kind of like the average, but not exactly. Let's call this x, just while we don't have a name for it. If you remember, if I take x and I take away 78, and I know I'm going to take away 78 because this is my biggest one. The furthest away from this angle is always going to be the biggest. So this is bigger, minus 78, cut in half, equals 36. It's like the average, but instead of adding them, you're going to subtract them. And all I have to do to find x now is solve this problem. The way we would do it if it was the average, I'll do that afterwards, but let me solve this first. Times 2, times 2. So x minus 78, these 2's will cancel out, and that'll be 72. Okay? So I'll add 78, add 78. Whoop. So x equals 72 plus 78. 150 degrees. Let me dive into this a little bit more. So remember, we have a couple things. Actually, I bet we have the book right here. And then the book will be just as good as me trying to draw it poorly. Remember, this is on the slide, so go look it up again. Hopefully it's in your notes. When we have a crisscross in the middle, that's when we're going to take the average. When we have a little crisscross right here. But when we have a outside the circle, either to secants or secant and a tangent, we are going to do what we just did. So go back to your notes and double check this in 10.6. 10.6. That table is in the notes on Schoology or on the YouTube video. So there's this one. All right, 10.7, the final problem I have for us today. Find x. We have x here. Let me make a different color so you can see it even better. And we're looking for what that is. If you remember, we had a little way to remember how to do this. And it went, I think I said outside times whole equals outside times whole. And this works if it's a tangent where everything is outside, you'll just do it twice. But since we have outside times whole, that means it would be x times my whole is x plus 9, okay? And that's going to equal 4, that's my outside. And then the whole is 9 as well, because you can see here 4 plus 5. Okay, that is my the problem we're going to do. This side is going to be 36. I'll distribute this in. That's x squared plus 9x. X squared plus 9x. And then we will have to do a little bit of factoring to get this answer, but that's okay. We're looking for numbers that'll make this work. So let's do this. We will, let's move this problem around. I do not want to give you one that'll be like this. I made sure on the test to not find ones that are just like this. So let us do this. Let's do a different one. This is still going to work. We'll still use this. I don't want to do this. Let's do not this for test. Let me drop a simpler one, something a little more straightforward. So I like that idea of a problem. I don't like that solving thing. So let us try this. All right, I'll have 6 here, I'll have 10 here, I'll have x here, and I'll have 8 here. Okay, so you can see it's a little similar. What really makes this hard is x on outside makes it more difficult. You probably could do this problem. It's just I have no way to kind of read where everyone is and how they're doing with this kind of problem, so that's why I'm not going to give it to you. If we were in class, this would definitely be something we would do, but you can see x on the outside makes it more difficult. On the test, x will live inside. And if it doesn't, it'll be a very easy problem. X will live on the inside. So we'll do the exact same thing. Sorry for the not perfect example, but that's okay. So we have outside times whole equals outside times whole. That's our little idea. So the outside of this is 8 times whole. That's x plus 8 equals outside is 6. And the whole is 6 and 10, 16. Okay, so let me distribute in here. That's 8x plus 64 equals 6 times 16, which is obviously, if you guys know your mental math, 96. Okay, move 64, move the 64. 96 minus 64, I can do it in my head very quickly. That is 32. And then finally, divide by 8, divide by 8. It should be 4. So x should be 4. And we can test it if we need to. We can put x back in here, 4. So 8 times 12. 8 times 12 is 96. 6 times 16, 96. Perfect. So x equals 4. Okay, once again for 10-7, this one is a little harder. I won't probably put one like this. I'll put one like this, and they don't seem very different. I hope you see that on paper, they look very similar. It's why I picked this one before I even did it. It looked straightforward, but it's a little harder because you get into these quadratics, is what they're called. So we're going to do something like this, where it'll be something like this: outside times whole, and you solve for it. Okay, well that is 7 quick problems. What I hope you do is you take your notes, go back through them, you watch some of the videos, especially the ones you've had trouble with. I'm not asking you to rewatch all of them. That is a lot of time to spend watching me talk again, because you've already seen them. But maybe go look for ones you had trouble with, and you can see if there's a way to sort of figure it out and hear it a different way. So here are our chapter 10 problems. I hope you study well. I'm not going to try to make it so hard it tricks you and causes you to tank. I want this to be a good experience. I want this to be an enjoyable quarantine test as much as I can, which, you know, is not very easy. I miss you all very terribly, but I'm very happy to be home with my new baby daughter. So I will see you all very soon. Thank you.